Hey guys, it's McDev. We're back for another great lesson. This one is attach a fallback value to a CSS variable. So we're going to go through the lesson, and I also have something I'm going to tag on the end that I think is going to be really valuable to know for the future. Pro tip, we'll call it. All right, so here in the last lesson, in the last two lessons, we created a CSS variable, and then the one after that, we used the CSS variable. And in this code, we can see here we're using the CSS variables here, and then we're defining them, or we're creating them here, and then we're using them here, um, as well as other places in the code, right? And so there is a bit of a problem. And we don't really necessarily consider it a problem. Let's just frame it this way. So let's say, for example, that you are using a CSS variable, and then for whatever reason, like the file that all of your variables are in doesn't load properly, or for whatever reason you don't have the variable. Well, you can have a fallback value that basically says if you can't find this variable, just use this fallback value as a default. So it's like a default value. And so a very practical reason why you might want a default value is that Internet Explorer isn't compatible with CSS variables. They're this new great thing, and all the browsers support it except for Internet Explorer. And you'll come to find that that's kind of a common theme. So we don't want to just give up on using this great tool. We're just going to use a fallback value for those. So as we see here, there's an issue with the Penguin. They're sort of mimicking like as if this was like Internet Explorer that they're doing this with. So they want us to supply the Penguin top and Penguin bottom classes with the value of black as far as for a backup value. All right, so let's go ahead and run into the solution. So this is the solution here. It is as simple as comma, then we're going to say the default value, black. So while it couldn't find this value, it defaulted to this one. Penguin skin, comma, black. And that is all. We're going to go ahead and run the test, and I believe this should pass. Ta-da! All right, so I want to show you guys something kind of cool. So I think you Padawans are ready for this level in your learning journey. There's a website. You have probably seen like W3 schools and stuff when you're searching for things, and maybe the Mozilla Web Docs have come up, and MDN. These are very well respected, well appreciated, well made documentation. And they're very detailed. And as a beginner, sometimes the detail can be kind of intimidating. Like you're looking for an easy answer, and there's just all of this information in here. And I can appreciate that. And so sometimes W3 schools is like the easy answer to a question you might have. However, this is where you go when you really want to understand how things work. Kind of get into the details. And the pages that they create for these different resources have this really cool compatibility table. And because this came up in this lesson, I wanted to show you what this table is and what we can learn from it. All right, so this is the browser compatibility. And we can see here that like it has all of the common web browsers, including Opera and Safari, listed here. And it's also got all the common mobile browsers too. And we can see that all of the browsers from like for Chrome from version 49 up for var, and Edge version 15 and up for var. All these browsers, we can see it's fully supported, right? However, Internet Explorer is not going to support CSS variables. And you'll find this time and time again where it's like you want to do something that's not supported. However, Edge is kind of the replacement for Internet Explorer, and as we can see, it does support the CSS variables. So if you're just doing a learning project, is it worth learning, like worrying about this? I would probably say don't worry about browser compatibility, but you should know it exists, especially if you open your project in a browser and it's like, wait, this doesn't look right. What did I do wrong? Well, it might have to do with the browser, especially if you're using Internet Explorer. I would just say don't use it if you can avoid it. And then also, this is good to know if you're doing a project, maybe a website for a family or family or friend, or maybe something more professional where you're doing like actual work at your first software development job, or doing some freelance work. The further you get into that, then you have to ask the question like, okay, are the users of this website going to use Internet Explorer? Like is there a percentage of the people who are going to use this using Internet Explorer? And if so, we have to consider making it compatible for Internet Explorer. And so a good example of that would be like a banking app. Like you want a banking app probably to be accessible. You also want it to be secure. So that's important. But you want it to be accessible to all age ranges. However, something that is um, geared towards a very specific generation, or you're or like isn't necessarily as international, because I think also when you have like international users, you likely want to support some older browsers. But if it is something that is like pop culture stuff, you don't really have to worry about it. In my opinion, it's probably helpful to consider it, but your site's probably going to be just fine supporting what are truly the leading browsers, which is everything but Internet Explorer. So that is my rant. That is my ramble. But I hope that you found value in that and found value in this lesson. So that is all I have for you today. And I'll be back for future videos. Good luck on your learning journey, and I'll see y'all later. All right. Bye now.